Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to take a look inside this box, which is Great Wall Hobbies limited edition 72nd scale F-15E in the 75th anniversary of D-Day markings.
Okay, so here you go. It's this beautiful box art. This is a 15E in the 75th anniversary of D-Day limited edition boxing. This is. So it's basically the F-15E just with the special decal set and markings. They do a few different flavors of this. They do an F-15I, which I also have, this radio version, and I believe they do the F-15C, and they have a couple of other little special boxings too. So they do a few different versions. Great Wall Hobbies. If you're looking for a 72nd scale Eagle, then Great Wall Hobbies is a great way to go. I built the F-14D from Great Wall Hobbies in 72nd scale, and that was a really nice kit as well. You should see this, really nice kits. The instructions are sometimes a little bit challenging to follow, but we'll see in a minute. So just look around the box real quick. Not really much on there other than the beautiful cover. Now, a couple of aftermarket bits I've just thrown in there for me when I build this. This is not included, but you've got the Edward Canopy Mast set. If you want it for this one, it's CX496. And a couple of resin seats for quick boost, which is 72142 is the model number. So if you're looking for aftermarket, that's for me. That's what I'm using. Just these two right here. Okay, so first of all we have, quick for some minutes, we got the nice big color call out. We have die cut flexible mast set. Color call out, that is, let's see if we have to get the mast set in a minute. A couple more bags of sprues. Should show you the box here. Main fuselage. Some weapons, canopy, fuel tanks, and a couple of pods, couple of service. As you know, it's all nicely individually bagged too. This looks like a die-cut canopy mask. Decals, 2 pieces. Finally, instructions. Okay, let's start with the instructions first. A little bit about it on the front. There's some color callouts. It's like using MiG and guns. Now, this is what I hate about Great Wall Hobbies. They do fantastic kits. I think they get a little better with this, but the instructions, look, you just get a handful of paper that makes no sense, and it doesn't really go. There's no booklet. It doesn't really follow, and it's just individual pieces. And normally you get a lot of corrections and issues and stuff. So this is what frustrates me. Okay, so you got a parts list cutting out the color of the page. Then you have to then get this page right here, which is number 1. Then it goes through to 5, and then you got 5 on here as well. It just makes no. I mean, that's why if you're a beginner, I would kind of stay away from these kits a little bit. It's just instructions a little hard to follow. That's my only feedback, but. Anyways, take your time, go through it all. It's not normally a big problem. It has what you need on it. It's not unlike Dragon. It has usually has the right part numbers and that kind of stuff. It's just weird kind of format. So on this page, as always, we've been building seats, which actually the kit seats like to have nice detail, and a cockpit tub. One nice thing I think with these Great Wall Hobby kits are you have really nice decals for the instrument panel. On 72nd scale, that really works pretty good. With some good setting solution, they really kind of bed down nicely around the buttons and switches and stuff. I found. Going forward, it looks like we have, remember the 72nd scale, so we have a radar. And like the Tomcat, it looks like there's no nose cone here, it looks like there's no way actually opening or closing the nose cone. It just either pull it off or put it on. Okay, then we go on working on the lower fuselage and adding the lower wings to the upper wings. This is, it says gear up, so if you're doing gear up, you're doing it this way. Gear up again, we're giving the intakes and adding the front section to the rear. Again, very similar to the F-14 kind of way of doing it. Okay, that's going back. Now we've got to find another piece of paper. See what I mean? And alright, I got you. So then, if we're doing gear down, then you can use this piece of paper. So gear down, you're going to follow this 5, 6, steps 5 and 6, slightly different. And then look, we go 6 to 6 again. So we have 2 5s and 2 6s and 2 7s. Okay, and this, I mean, this is strange. I mean, a company this size and the amount of money to charge for these kits, you think they at least have somebody just to quickly review these instructions, like somebody maybe English first language or something, just to review it a little bit, because it just really makes no sense. But anyway, so 6, then go 7s, count the canopy. I'm trying to figure out what 7 is. 7 is really just no different, nothing added to it. It makes no sense why that's even in here, to be honest with you. 8 is... Okay, so it says retract and extend. I think it means canopy up or down. So canopy down is 7, if you want, and it looks like that. If you want canopy up, it's going to be 8. Again, these really confusing. And then I guess we move on this piece of paper then, which starts at 9. Again, we're kind of going backwards here. You think that would be the front. Okay, so we're starting 9. Looks like we're adding the flaps and the tail planes. 10, working on the gear. Multiple parts on the gear, so you can see quite detailed. 11, adding the gear on. And then looks like a couple of aerials. 12, adding the racks for the bombs. 13, ordnance. So it looks like you got AIM 120B, AMRAAMs, Sidewinders, and you got an AAQ 14 targeting pod. So that's that piece of paper. And then you got one single piece of paper left, which is 13. So that's looking at the nav pod, the AN AAQ 13. You're looking at the drop tanks, and then we'll install the drop tanks, and that's it. So it looks like you don't come with any bombs. Interesting. Right. Again, this is a limited. This is the D-Day anniversary edition. So maybe it's set up loading what was the actual display bird. I guess it is. Again, so as you see, that's really kind of frustrating how they do this instructions. All these loose piece of paper and just all over the place, makes no sense. So numbers don't even follow. But anyway, it is what it is, I guess. So that's the instructions. Okay, so this, I just read this. This makes no sense. The translation, it's all over the place. But long story short, it's saying the evasion stripes come in decals, but because of the lumps and bumps, the pods and stuff, and the rails, it's going to be easy for just to mask and paint it, because it's going to be hard to get those decals to sit down on it. So they've included a die-cast set of masks, so you can mask it. Alternatively, it's straight lines. I'll probably just use Tamiya tape and just mask those stripes and just paint it. Probably will be easier for me than using all this stuff, I guess. But anyway, it's nicely included, so that's what that is. Next up is a color call-out. It's a nice big color and double sheet. Just the one marking. Yep. Now I believe they did a few of these. I think they did a red tail, a yellow tail, and a blue tail. So it looks like the markings you get here is for the red one. Not tons. This is showing your stencils and your decals. It's a typical gunship grey, and the evasion stripes. There's not tons of stuff on here. You see, there's not tons of decals on this. Actually, a few more on the other side, upper and underside. Again, beautiful scheme. As I just mentioned, all this stuff, I probably wouldn't use a decal. I'll just use tape and mask it and paint it. Paint the white, and then just paint the black stripes up on top of it. Now, decals. Find how to open it. So we have 2 sheets. So this is all the, if you do want to use decals, these are all the invasion stripes. And it looks like the nose art. And for the tail, again, I probably wouldn't use these kind of for the tail. I'll probably just mask and paint it red. Okay, so they look really good. No issues there. And then the second sheet, which I quite like with Great Wall Hobbies, they do really nice decals for the cockpit, if you can see that. As I mentioned, with the Microsoft set, they really kind of set around the instrument panel really well and kind of bed in. These are your little stencils. Super tiny, but they are legible. I'm not sure the camera's going to pick it up. You can see no step and all the usual stuff. Very nice. Now let's get into the plastic. So the first big sprue here is the upper side. And just see that detail. It is really nice. So fine in scale. This is why these 70-second kits are so nice. You can get past the instructions. The plastic is really, really nice, as you can see the detail. Once you get a wash on that, it's really going to make it pop. Loads of rivet marks and panels and okay. Now it looks like these are the intakes. Again, tons of detail. And the lower part of the fuselage with the wheelbase molded in. Again, really nicely detailed. Hope you can see, kind of see that. Next up, this big sprue. Looks like we have the nose, the front section of the fuselage and the lower wings. Again, really beautiful detail. So 2-part for the front, and then it will slide into the main fuselage. Plastic is very crisp. Just look at the again, detail the pylons. Back, there's a few kind of minor ejection pin marks, but no problem at all. They're recessed, and on the back side, you're not going to see any of that. There's the radar. Right there. Really nice sprue once again. And we got a bag, a couple of sprues in this bag. I really like the bags too, how they're resealable. They're not like stapled or kind of stuck on, stuck together. So you got nose. Wheels are 2-part, but really well detailed. But again, the 70-second scale, remember. Speed brake, the gear, really well detailed. And then it's like they molded these to protect the nozzles. And again, it works good because no damage, fortunately. Everything's in, all those tiny little very delicate parts are all nicely attached. And cockpit tub. Again, really nice detail. This is really zoomed in. You can probably see against the size of my finger how small this really is, but You know, if I hold it back, it's tiny, but hopefully you can kind of see some of this detail. This is like the part of the exhaust system. It's one piece, no seam lines. Sorry, the intake system, should I say. It's fan blades molded in the back. I don't think you can see that, it's just very dark. But one piece. Again, really nice sprue. This looks like you get one sidewinder or something. It says on the back, right there, GWH. Okay, next bag. And nice thing is they always put what it is on there too, which helps someone like me out greatly. So AAQ13 pod is that guy. Again, beautiful detail. We've got these guys, which are AIM 9Ls, AIM 120B. Again, one part, all the fins and stuff attached, and a couple of fuel tanks. So the back there, 610 gallon. Get two of those, obviously. Another bag. So this is more weapons. This is the AAQ-14 pod. And you got the sprue here. Actually, you got match pairs. You have two of these. So looks like you have the seats, which actually looks really nicely detailed. I showed you these guys I got. These are very cheap, the quick boost stuff. But to be honest with you, looking at the quick boost compared to the kit actually has crisper details. So forget what I said about these. You might just be okay with kit ones. I mean, looking at where the plastic is, again, it's ultra tiny. You can see the detail on there. Let's compare it against the resin ones. Yep, it's a lot softer molded. So one of those things where, you know, you don't always need to go aftermarket. So the seat comes in a few different parts. Looks okay. This looks like the back of the exhaust nozzle. It has a fan blade, very kind of softly molded in there. And looks like part of the exhaust nozzle. That's a fantastic detail. Hopefully you can pick that up. This is probably about a centimeter long. If you look at it, measure it, it's tiny. But look at that detail. You don't get that on 48 scale kits or even 32nd scale kits. And finally, you've got the canopy. Nice that it comes with kind of this part too, the front here. So it's not just the front. It's not just the front windscreen, but you get this too, which you're obviously going to paint. So it means when you glue it in, it gives it more. You don't get so many seam lines. It gives it more of a better fit. Very kind of reminiscent of the Tamiya F-14, the new 48 scale one's been out a couple of years now, but that's really good. Rather than just fitting the windshield in, you got the kind of the front too. And very, it's hard to see because you have this kind of protective thing over here, but it has a very, very faint center seam. If you can kind of see that on the camera or not. Definitely needs taken care of, not a big issue at all, just a slight sanding and a polishing. You probably just catch it right there. This very faint center seam down there, down both parts, and then looks like you just, that's probably the HUD, I'm guessing. Clear wise, it's, yep, a little bit thick, but 72nd scale, but 72nd scale is perfectly good. No problems there at all. So that is it. Let me bring the box back around. So, as you can see, the instructions are a little bit finicky, but everything's on there. They just take your time following them. Other than that, it's a fantastic kit. You can see the detail is amazing. It's 72nd scale, remember. They build up to really nice. Typically, I've not built this at F-15, but I built other Great Wall Hobbies kits, and they build up really nicely. No problems. They fit together perfectly well. It just a beautiful scheme this is, and it's not a bad price. This retails for about, I think I paid about $39.99 US for this one, which isn't bad at all for the amount of detail and quality of this kit. The F-14 now goes for about $60, $70, which is, for me, is way too expensive for a 72nd scale kit. But being around $39.99, I think the price point's kind of fair. Like I said, there's several different flavors. There's that one. I also have the Israeli one, as I mentioned before, has a couple of really nice schemes on here in the I version. And they do some other ones as well. Now, Great Wall Hobbies, their supply chain is a little bit sketchy. They're sometimes hard to get hold of. If you do see one, I recommend you kind of buy them when you can, especially limited edition ones, because it's not like they're not like a giant company like Tamiya or like Revell or those kind of companies who produce lots of, well, Revell might be a bad example, but like Tamiya or Trumpeter, who produce lots of kits and are easy to get hold of. These can be a little tricky to find. So, like I say, especially if I think Europe's kind of hard to get them. But eBay normally is a good outlet. Sprue Brothers have good prices in the US from these guys, and they have a pretty good selection as well. They do a 48 scale version on this kit. I built a 48 version scaled kit. It's amazing. Has full engine detail, has avionics bays, tons of detail. They're not cheap, but again, it's an amazing kit. But the problem is the 48 scale Eagle is really big. It's probably a couple of foot long. So they've got real nice niche. These 72nd scale kits build up to a nice size model, about a foot, roughly about a foot long. So they've got like a little niche, like the 14s, the 15s. They've got a few other different versions of aircraft too. But these bigger aircraft in 72nd scale, actually really nice size to display, to work with. I really enjoy these kits. And again, just that detail is kind of off the charts. They do a really, really nice job on these. If you compare it to this sort of like a 72nd scale Airfix kit, you just night and day. The detail's nothing like this. Even just look at the gear, the panel lines. Again, just looking at that, beautiful. So that is it. So hopefully you enjoyed this review, and if so, I'll see you on the next one. So as always, put any comments below, and I'm happy to answer and help any questions you may have. And until next time, see you later, and goodbye.